The future is now. We put together a journey map, and we've also selected a very curated list of experts. So we're encouraging you to really sit back, enjoy, and then let's have a very strong conversation.
We're on for the long haul, and we're constantly bringing out tools that enable you to be ready and address the potential you have, rather thinking about features. What does the bank look like for a young, up-and-coming professional?
You being able to offer your customers services using existing platforms. Those are some of the thinking around, bank of the future.
I don't know. Keeps going off and on. Yeah, my name is Victor Asemota. A lot of people in Nigeria know me as Big Chief. I describe myself very, very simply. I'm a retired entrepreneur, part-time investor, and full-time father. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamal Boushi. I'm the CEO of Renmoney in Africa, and I'm proud to be in Lagos and with you today. Thank you for inviting me.
Good afternoon, all. Adewale Salami, Group Chief Information Officer, FirstBank. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pius, Emeya. I head IT in Access Bank.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noibi Kazeem. I'm the VP of Technology at FairMoney.
Thank you very much. So this panel I kind of want to have is more of a discussion with all of you. You're all esteemed leaders in your respective banks, financial institutions, and technology today drives a big part of it. So to kick off, I wanted to maybe open up the question. I hear often on-prem, cloud, in-house, outsource. These are conversations that have a lot of meaning but sound very simple. So I'd like to ask you, what is your preferred style and what is the advantage of your preferred style? It's open to the floor, otherwise I'll pick someone.
Okay. These are technology, on-prem, cloud, in-source, outsource. For me, actually, and for my organization, it's a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. For the deployment model, we do hybrid, and there are reasons for it. One, there's a regulatory reason that says data residency must also be in Nigeria. So the core banking is really, and they really regulate us very closely. So it has actually been in Nigeria, that it was always been in Nigeria. But cloud gives some sort of ability, agility, and capability that you cannot really get from on-prem. For example, if you want to order a server, a big server, maybe IBM servers on all those ones, the minimum lead time is about 6 months. But it's in cloud, click, you get it in just 5 minutes, and you'll be able to do that one. So that ability, that capability, that agility that cloud offers, make us to be able to implement as hybrid. So we do hybrid. So this is what we do. Core platforms, where it actually holds major data on-prem. Non-core platforms or customer-facing application, cloud. For example, our ERP is actually on cloud, which is Oracle ERP. Then some of our applications, mobile banking, which actually has almost about 50 million customers using it daily. So of course, you cannot deal with the requirements. So that one is actually on cloud. And we are moving lots of other things on cloud for that other one there. So what we try to do is that the principle is, if it is regulatory or data requirements, stay on premise. If it is not, just go to cloud. That's the principle. Second one question is in-source or outsource. It's actually neither here or not there too. And we also use an hybrid, and I will explain. Core capability of the bank. Core capability of the bank. We really do not want to and that's actually generic products. Generic product. I mean, generic platform, core capability, give it to outsource, get a vendor, core banking, ERP, get a vendor, and let them do it. Those ones that we insource are those customer-facing channels where customers request for a lot of time in customization. For example, when you're dealing with corporate internet banking, every customer, every big customer wants some sort of a customization flavor to their own. You really can't deal with that one if you outsource it. When you're dealing with channels like mobile banking, the way the product seems to be coming in, it will be coming in so rapidly, so you really can't deal with it. But core things like loans is loans, personal loans is personal loans, you really change that one. Once you are able to go live on one, you really change it. But so those ones are really outsourced. But in-source are those just channel facing where we need rapid deployment or ability to quickly customize a lot. So that's our own principle. Thank you.
Pius, how do you see that?
All right, thank you very much. When Adewale made when she came, she did make mention of something. She was talking about, thank you. She was talking about redefining certain things, right? And she talked about big. Big, she was referring to supposed small companies now competing with big, bigger firms. And I just wanted to say that at some point, you probably need to redefine what big is, right? And big now is not about structure. It's more about the value. And sometimes when it comes to banking, maybe the kind of volume that you're moving. So in actual fact, those companies are not actually small companies when you look at it from that perspective. That said, I would also like to, why I said that is because we definitely at some point needs to redefine certain things when it comes to cloud and on-prem. When you speak about this, traditionally certain points will come out, certain advantages and disadvantages. You say that when you are on the cloud, you tend to reduce cost, you tend to gain speed, you even argue that it's more secure, right? But I think that depends on, the angle or probably where you are in the journey, either it be as an organization or, either it be as an entity. When it comes to cloud and on-prem, you need to consider a couple of things. First, how big is the organization? How long have you been in business? What investments have you made, right? And when you look at it from this viewpoint, you definitely will be able to understand and appreciate somehow how some, I would say, traditional organizations or traditional banks, as we like to be referred to, though we are not, right? How we see these two infrastructures and how we are shaping a strategy to leverage or maximize value from these infrastructures. So let's take, for example, how long have you been in business and how much investments have you made in your technology stack? A company who has been in business for maybe over 100 years would definitely have made a lot of investment, would have what you call legacy systems, right? Compared to a company that's just about 4, 3, 5 years, old. For such companies, definitely leveraging cloud is the best strategy to go because it gives you that immediate competitive advantage. It gives you the speed, right? But for a company who has legacy, who has baggage, you've even done a lot of investment. you want to take a look at it and see how you can actually have an hybrid system. And that's exactly currently what we're doing, right? Similar to what my boss has said, we work together in one other organizations, and he was my boss. So similar to what he said, it's the same thing we have in my organization. You have certain services that run on, on the cloud, and you have some certain services that run on the, on-prem. But what is really important is knowing exactly what you're looking for, where you are, at a point in time, and being able to, use those factors, right, to determine how the strategy will be going forward, right? There are conversations also currently about looking at the cost of, going on the cloud or going, implementing on the cloud versus what investments you already done on your on-prem infrastructure. And at some point, depending on the cost, depending on how much investment you have, we are seeing cases where you begin to see that it might just be cheaper, to continue to run on your cloud, on your on-prem infrastructures, right? So for me, it's basically looking at where you are versus, what your strategy, long-term strategies are, and being able to take that, important decision that will help you get the most value from your investment, whether it be cloud or on-prem. Thank you.
So it's something I want to just mention. It's not a counter, but I remember when Antonio, when they moved to the Philippines, for the first time he told me, look, you know what? We're experiencing net negative churn. Okay. I didn't know what that was. And I started. Oh, okay. Now I realized they had customers who were growing so fast, that even Oradian couldn't cope. Now, this brings me to this whole on-prem versus cloud conversation. Yesterday, I don't want to mention the bank, it's an old bank in Ghana. I had to go to a branch before I could install an app, on another phone. And I was saying, this is ridiculous. Meanwhile, there's another bank in the same Ghana where all I needed to do was just scan a QR code from the old app, and I'm up in seconds. Okay. Now, I don't know if it was Bill Gates that said this thing. That it's not the big that is the small anymore. It's the fast that kills the slow. Now, a lot of times we do not calculate when you're talking about the cost of cloud services versus on-prem. We do not calculate that. Like things like net negative churn. Okay, how quickly, we gain new customers because we've implemented new technology. We keep looking at, just the physical costs, not the opportunity costs. So, I don't know what you think about that, because that experience I had yesterday, made me, I just said, look, you know what, I'm leaving this other bank. I'm not doing anything with them again.
Okay, so I would like to chip something here. So I think that there are people that I will call the cloud natives, and there are organizations that I will call the cloud nomads, right? The nomads, just the way we have the digital nomads and the digital natives, right? So the cloud natives, as maybe some of us like FairMoney, that we started out in the last 5-6 years. And we're not drawn back with legacy data and every other thing. We can go full-blown from day one to a cloud infrastructure and we enjoy the benefits 100%. We are able to scale faster and the likes. But the nomads, the guys that have existed 100 years, 50 years before us, right? They are coming with a lot of legacy issues that they have to also put in place. So typically, you are a bank that has been existing for 50 years. There are systems that has been built. There are some data sets that has been provided using the structure within that period. And now there is the opportunity, you are now racing against the natives who started 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. They have all the advantages. They started everything from the cloud. And you want to do some migration because there are also costs to migration. Some people are currently bearing the consequence of migration today, right? They're losing customers right, left, and center. So every other thing comes into that cost. Apart from the opportunity costs, the infrastructure costs, there is the manpower costs, there is the negative costs of the bad experience that somebody is going to have because you have migrated his data from one system to another, and his balance is not looking good anymore, and he's not listening to you, and there's a multiplier effect to all those things. So I think on the whole sum, it's easier for the cloud natives to say that the reason why these people are not doing well is because they are not moving to the cloud. Because you found it easy. You went to AWS. There is already an Oradian that will give you a core banking system that they'll provision for you, support is there, everything is there. Than another bank that has existed with a partner that has inherited a lot of legacy data, legacy infrastructure and everything, and you now have to sit down and do some migration from that system to the new. So I think it's a mix of both. Then when you talk about insourcing and outsourcing, right? Again, it's, for me, depends heavily on how fast and the company goal, right? For some of the traditional banks and the likes, they probably are not racing against maybe investor funding and the likes. They're there. They have the big customers and the likes, right? But if you are a new bank, for example, you are in a space where you are racing against tons of stuff. So you want to grow as very fast as possible. You are seeing your competitor is doing 100x of what you're doing today. So you do your roadmap, and in the end, you decide what your strength is in terms of in-house, and what you can leverage on to outsource. So for example, you could say, if my strength is to build my mobile app and all my front-facing applications internally, I have engineering capacity to do all those. But my strength is not in building core banking systems, right? I need to do ledgers, do bookkeeping, everything in the core bank, manage balances, worry about risk conditions and everything. And I say, okay, so if somebody else does this and can do it for me better, instead of me spending my time to build all those things, I'd rather outsource, right? So I think it's it's a mix of strength and a mix of the kind of structure that you have started with.
What is your core competency? From a leadership point of view, in my humble opinion, you need to really know what you know, but you really need to know what you don't know. And once you get that, the rest is easy. So to me, why should I spend a huge amount of energy building a core banking platform when this is not my business? I'm a bank, I'm a lender, I'm a credit card issuer. That's what I need to focus on. Need to develop products, need to develop strategies, services, etc. Like Kazeem said, yes, there may be opportunities where you sit and develop your own apps if you have some capacity or if you have some smart engineers and so on and so forth. But believe me, no matter how smart your in-house engineers are, there's a whole bunch of companies out there who are a lot smarter than your guys, a lot smarter. So that's one. Two, why do I need to do a legal service in-house? Why do I need to do a payroll service in-house? Is this my business? Am I a specialist in managing HR? I'm not. I'm not a specialist in managing legal affairs. I'm a bank. So to answer your question, from my perspective, I will always focus on what I know and what I don't, and I know what I don't know. And then all the other noise outside that ecosystem, I just ignore.
So leadership effectively has to make sure they're running the business efficiently and not spending time on the wrong things.
Absolutely, because you see, also we're all humans. We're all humans, and we like to gather. A lot of us are, a lot of people want to build empires, want to build strong CVs, and they want to be proud to say, you know, I have 400 people reporting to me. Yes, some is possible. I think one of our colleagues from Access said the size matters. And of course the size matters. But at the end of the day, you really need to know what you know, and you need to know what you don't know. If you end up being a very good technology company that happens to provide loans, then guess what? You're in the wrong business. Sell your technology to other people. If you end up being a very strong bank with an amazing collection department, amazing risk performance, sell these. This is an asset. Sell it to people that may not necessarily be as privileged as you are. So I think this is really where I personally spend most of my days battling with these decisions, so to speak. But I wanted to, thank you for that. To me though, if you were to ask me black and white, in-house, outsource, I'll say outsource. If you say to me cloud, on-premises, I'll say to you cloud, no issue. And guess what? I'm a serious nomad, cloud nomad. I worked in a company where our server farms in Phoenix, Arizona, extended probably no less than a kilometer, square kilometer. And I could understand the guys that manage this, the pride they get out of, you know, showing their grandchildren, look what daddy did. You know, I built all of this. But guess what? Time is gone, in my opinion. Now, Amazon's server farms in Arizona is not 1 kilometer, is, you know, a couple of thousand acres. So the scale has become different. The time has moved. The world has changed. So,
Thank you.
On this cloud on-premise, the major challenge is this, the regulator saying data residency and all those stuffs. We're now developing so faster technology now. For example, just next week, December 10, Huawei is launching their own cloud data center in Nigeria, which means subscribe to their cloud, your data is already resident in Nigeria. African data center, they are providing direct connection, where it means that, oh, you have something in there, go and put in your rack there, and they will connect your rack directly, because the major challenge when you have the hybrid is that the connectivity, the latency that you have between the cloud resources, maybe from Amazon to your own premise, you always have that latency there. So, I mean, it's blurring, and then, I mean, those challenges used to be like that. And I know that Amazon is also planning, even though they have their exchange in Nigeria, they're trying to actually get a full data center. So all those challenges now, we are working towards around it. The key thing here, just as Victor has said, is what is customer getting? But one more thing I needed to do so that we don't talk this in technology, I mean, this discussion into technology. There's something called capability, and there's also another thing called capacity to give that, to utilize that capability. Clouds give you the capability. Now, to utilize that capability, which is actually the capacity, it depends on you and what's your customer journey are, and the customer that you're actually attending to. So, I mean, it's not a real technical discussion, but the key thing is for you to be able to utilize that capability to be able to serve who your customers are. Thank you.
Sorry, okay. You know, there are two examples. You know, Kamal mentioned something which was very, very important about core competence. There's this story. Apple did not want to do the App Store. Oh, sorry, let's say, what's his name again? Steve Jobs did not want to do the App Store initially, until somebody told him that, look, there are much more clever engineers outside Apple than inside Apple. So if you want to give your customer the best possible products, allow all the engineers outside Apple to be able to build products on your platform. So that's why they had the App Store. Now for AWS, you know, they were so good at, you know, providing themselves servers that they had to sell excess capacity to other people. You know, that's why AWS existed. And that's why we have something like that, you know, today. So, you know, the struggle locally, you know, over time, I'm very, very happy that Huawei is coming, doing that, because I've seen what Huawei has done. You know, in DRC, we struggled with the client for years. These guys came and said, okay, look, we are going to give you 2 years, no downtime. You know, and we had an on-prem solution with the same client. Huawei came and said, look, don't worry, 2 years, you know. So if you start having people with that kind of capacity, you know, and capability locally, providing those kind of solutions, then, you know, Wale is right. Everything becomes blurred, because it depends on how good you are. You know, for outsourcing, you know, I told Wale how you guys started working out of Croatia, you know, and I was almost convinced to move my entire team there, because it made more sense, you know, to actually have a team in Croatia than have a team here that Interswitch will come and poach tomorrow, or Ericsson will come and Ericsson took a lot of my stuff at some point. So you know, so all of the arguments make a lot of sense. I'm actually happy we're having these conversations here. Thank you, and I hope we have more of these conversations. Thanks already and again.
Thank you. So this is really a great start. I'm going to move it up here, and data. Data is really interesting. You know, and when I hear you, I kind of shape this question around. We all gathering a lot of data on our systems. Effectively, that's learning a lot about. How do you view the importance of data? Is it becoming a new currency? Should you share data? Should you not share data? It's obviously regulated as well. But I wanted to touch a little bit about how do you see data, and then what are potential concerns on security of data? So this is obviously becoming a bigger topic. Regulators are learning to step in and figure this out. But I just wanted to get your sense. Do you see that as an opportunity to mine? Is it an opportunity to share? Is it an opportunity to make better decisions? What is this new data topic that many people are trying to address?
Okay. Antonio, as we are here, we have generated a lot of tons of data, even from my car to this brand, to registrations, to everything. So data is just part of us. But let me now speak specifically to banking now. Specifically to banking. We have two drivers in banking. One, you need to make your figures, your profits, and you also need to have satisfied customers. In order to make that profit, you need to have satisfied customers. Fortunately, in this era that we have the Gen Zs, we have everybody, and we've got more social connections, much more than the other. So a customer really wants his bank to know him or her, just as the social media company also knows. Google, everywhere you go, they follow you. Facebook, Meta, everywhere you go, they follow you. So it's important to be able to use that data to actually get your own customer journey and customer's experience very well. That's number one. Number two, for banks, there are two major lines in income: interest income and non-interest income. Interest income is when you have loans and all those on, you give loans and all those on. And we are tightly regulated by bands. So maybe based on the NPR, you cannot go above or below a certain band. For non-interest income, you're also tightly regulated too, because they will tell you this is how much you can charge on AMC, how much you can charge on all the other stuffs in there. The only place that the regulators has not put much into is in data, whether it's data sharing or as part of open banking. So that's actually a new source of revenue for banks. And for banks that actually got lots of data in their stores, they're now making money for it. So data to us now is a real asset, not as an asset to drive another asset, real asset as in Naira and Kobo. So that's the way we feel it. But we do have challenges with data. And I will tell you how technology is coming now. For some of us, most of our data are not in digital format. And that's why you have archives and all those ones. The data may not be in the required structure and format for you to be able to mine it. And that's why you always see expensive data warehouse projects that always fail at the end of it. Because the people that needed the kind of skills that needed to be able to use it to do that one, they may not be readily available, or you may want to turn an executive into a data analyst when executive is actually not there. But, for where there are challenges, technology always come in there. Now, it is in the olden days that you have to do data warehouse. Just get a data lake. Amazon has it, Azure have it, dump your data there. You don't even need to start creating the model, start creating the structure, all those ones really do not need it. You can get it done. In the olden days, you have OBIE, Oracle Business Intelligence, Microsoft also has its own too, and all those stuff in there. But you know what? There are new technologies that are coming out and new which you can also play with, and that is generative AI. Just throw it into the data. The guy will actually do a lot of analysis for you to be able to get much insight. A very good example is Copilot. You have it in an Excel. Just analyze this. I want to make a presentation and I need to derive insight, and this is what I'm looking at. Copilot will dice it and give you a lot of things. So, I mean, those technologies are now taking the work of business analysts into it, because every business, the way we are structured, every executive have analysts sitting down with you. Oh, I want to see it like this. There's an analyst that one will extract, one will analyze data, one will do the stuff, and all those want to be able to do it. So technologies are moving faster now, and it's just for you to be able to use it to do what you have done. Technologies like Copilot now make it easy for you to be able to get those insights. We used to have a data which is actually much more, whatever we wanted to do in terms of analytics, we used to talk about reactive, see what has happened, to use your own brain to determine what is going to happen, predictive. But I think it's actually getting more easier now. There's nothing you can do without getting data. And it's important that at every opportunity to capture data or to capture data, do capture it. Even if you cannot use it now, you'll be able to use it later. But remember the NDPR. We have regulations in the NDPR in Nigeria. If you have subsidiary in Europe, you have the GDPR. you must be able to apply all those regulatory rules to it. Thank you.
Oh, FairMoney lives on data. Okay, so data is king the way cash is also king, right? Because for us, we were still gisting before I came on stage, right? We literally don't take any decision without looking at the numbers. If you have the amount of data that you have as a bank, I think it's usually enough to do a lot of prediction about your direction. It helps to understand your customer behavior, and it also helps you to know whether whatever you have projected for yourself, whether you're deceiving yourself. I mean, because you have projections at the beginning of the year, and you say you are going to do X, this, based off existing data structure, right? So I'd classify the use to different cases: customer behavior, business analysis, and go as far as also helping to predict your risk. Right. So it's very, very important. For lending, for example, you need a lot of data. That is why a lot of lenders, today, you want to lend to somebody, he's still fresh. Okay, guy, because you are still fresh, we'll give you 1K. From there, we are able to see your behavior over time, and maybe also using the different identity providers that exist today, identity points that we have today. You're also able to analyze income and spending behavior of that person. Then you are able to decide how to lend. Right. So data is actually everything for us.
Okay, thank you. I think my co-panelists have said a lot about data. For me, I would like to relate it to the initial conversation we had around, on-prem and cloud services, and sort of look at what the concerns around both options are, right? It's also been mentioned there, one of the concerns you have with, let me say, once again, use that word, since that's the general word that is being used for traditional banks, right? To move or probably take that fully, move into the cloud. It's around data, right? So some of those constraints. As we have it in most countries, there are some data privacy laws that, restricts you from taking your customer data across, cross-border, right? Those are some of the constraints. And, we did have conversations about how some of these things are already being resolved, right? So my thinking is that, yeah, the constraints are there. Even the security of the data, right? It's another thing. There are also constraints. Sometimes you feel more comfortable that my data is there and I can see it. It's in that box, right? Rather than, when you don't even know exactly where it is.